probably the most underrated defensive coordinator in NFL history, potentially. And some are calling him the defensive, what do you call it, the greatest defensive coordinator of all time, the GDC GOAT, or whatever. That's what some are calling him. But Steve Spagnuolo had an amazing offseason. He's the highest paid defensive coordinator now. Got his 4th Super Bowl ring. And today, or yesterday, he got another thing added to his accolade resume for the offseason. He was named as the Paul Dr. Z Zimmerman Award winner by the Professional Football Writers of America this week, solidifying his status as one of the best defensive coordinators of all time. The Pro Football Writers of America explained the Dr. Z Award is given for lifetime achievement as an assistant coach in the NFL. The award is named for Zimmerman, who covered the NFL for 29 years as SI's lead pro football writer. So, JD, first off, what do you think about Spags kind of finally getting this recognition? It's taken 2 Super Bowls back-to-back with the Chiefs to kind of get this recognition, but he's finally getting it nonetheless, and also he's getting paid it, with being the highest-paid defensive coordinator in the league. And also, are you surprised that Spags' name never came up in any potential head coaching vacancy talk this offseason?
So I'll start with this. Spags, this is a long time coming. The Pro Football Writers of America, they got this one right. Spags is without a doubt one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. If you start using the conversation ever, there's some really great defensive coordinators. I mean, he learned from a great one in Jimmy Johnson, right? Jim Johnson, that's where Spags got a lot of his stuff. You start talking about Buddy Ryan. I mean, there's a lot of great defensive coordinators out there for sure. So I just want to put that out there because there's some really good ones. But Spags, he takes everything. That's how humble Spags is. He's such a great guy in himself. Just as good of a person you can get, but also too as brilliant of a coach you can have as a player. He understands the whole scheme of the game, what he wants to do with guys. He knows how to utilize every guy's skill set for the defense's benefit. He knows how to get the best out of his players, and everybody, they respond to him. He's been at some great places too, man. I mean, Spags is being, Giants, Rams, New Orleans, Philly, Ravens. He's been a lot of different places under some great coaches, and he just learned a whole lot. But there's a reason that people are always looking for his, to hire a Steve Spagnuolo is because of his character, of his acumen in the job, and his relationship to the players. All the players love playing under Spags. This is a long time coming, man. Spags, without a doubt, is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. And probably ever, right? This is my opinion. But this is how I feel about Spags, man. Spags has always been gracious just to me. I battled against his defenses and against his guys for a long time. So me and Spags have known each other for quite some time. But, he's as good as guys you're going to get, man. Great guy. Let me see the second question you had. What was
Yeah. Were you surprised his name never came up in any head coaching vacancies this year? And do you think next year there's a chance that his name could come up again?
So I tell you what, I'm sure there were some teams that reached out to him. I'm sure there were some teams that probably said it under the table, didn't really bring him up because they didn't know if he was going to be serious or not, or he even, are you going to even entertain? Becoming a head coach. And I think Spags at the time was like, I love where I'm at. I know what it feels like to be a head coach in that position. This is a lot easier for him, or at least it's not as much pressure to do. Okay. Now, if he wants to move on from this, Spags, look, the world is his oyster. It is. He could, if he said, hey, I don't want to be at Kansas City anymore, and teams wanted to see him, if Spags like, okay, I'll look at that. I guarantee Spags, then his name will come up. They'll show it then. But they won't get confirmation. Unless he gives confirmation first, they're not going to use his name. But I guarantee teams reached out and say, hey, man, what can we do to pull you out of there, to bring you as a head coach? And I think Spags, because of the affinity that he had for the guys around him and for the Chiefs and Andy and all the organization, Spags is like, look, I'm home right now. I'm comfortable where I'm at, and that's only to our benefit and to everybody else in the NFL's detriment, okay? Because he's got our defense humming exactly the way it should be, and he's put this thing together. He's put his things together. When I'm talking about, he's got his stamp on this with everything that he does, bringing in the right people around him as far as coaches to bring his scheme out and bringing the right guys to do it. He's done a masterful job, So yeah, hats off to Spags for this one, man, because he deserves it for sure.
It was a good accolade for him, and it's a recognition overall that he's getting this year. I mean, it was due. The 2 rings he got in New York with that defense that he had over there, and then obviously the 2 rings he's had here. And the thing I love about this is his handiwork. I mean, that defense is all young guys. See, they kind of rebuilt what Bob Sutton had, and it's night and day, this defense, to what we had with Bob Sutton. Bob Sutton, we hoped it was pretty much you get defenses all the way across the red zone and hope they don't score a touchdown, bend but don't break, they kick a field goal. And that was pretty much the key to that defense. And that was pretty much it. Spags has turned this young crop of guys, and they know the Spags system, and that's probably, I don't know if he wanted that, but he got young dudes, and these guys, all they know is his system, and that's what they know, and he's been dominating with it. And with someone said that San Francisco was interested in him. They were interested in him as a DC right when the Super Bowl was over. They wanted to bring him over, and then we re-signed him and gave him all that money. But as an NFL coach, and the one thing I think, if we have another successful year, the defense looks like it did this year, I think his name will definitely come up as far as head coaching conversations next year.
Sure.
I was looking at the list. So there were 7 new hires this year, and you would think in this new day and age it's going to be all offensive guys. 4 of the 7 guys who got hired were defensive guys. Dan Quinn, Antonio Pierce, Raheem Morris, and Gerard Mayo, and Mike McDonald. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 of the 7 were defensive guys. I mean, so it tells you, even though we are becoming this offensive league, teams still are prioritizing defensive types of head coaches. And that tells you Spags' market, if he rolls out another year of the defense looking amazing, he's going to have a market next year. I mean, regardless of what people want to say going to an offensive direction, teams still value defensive guys as being the head honcho.
Yeah, but I think right there, when we look at the guys that got hired, look, defense wins championships, okay? You got to stop these high-powered offenses. And so you got to have a great mind over there. How are you going to defend somebody like a Tyreek Hill or Jamar Chase, right, or Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson? What are you going to do with those guys? And so Spags knows what to do. I think really Spags revolutionized the game to a certain degree, but Belichick is a hair better. Belichick's a bad boy. We know that. Not leaving him out of the conversation at all. And I think Spags did a good job of just kind of taking his defense and putting his twist on, like you said, putting his thumb on everything, get these young guys and get them operating the way they wanted to operate. But Andre Brown said, why have head coach headaches when I could get head coach pay with defensive coordinator headaches? I agree with that. I think that I agree with that 100%. So take all of the pressure off of you. Okay. You got the one part of the field. You got the defense. You got your guys. You can control that aspect of the game the best way you know how. Okay. There's a lot of different things. Being a head coach, you got to answer. You got to get up every single day and talk. You're the guy that's making all the decisions. And so that's what it boils down to, becoming a head coach. There's a lot of pressure right there, man. There's a lot of stress, anxiety that the guys go through. And some guys handle it better than others and just manage it. And that's why Andy does a great job managing that. Some head coaches get great guys around them. I think it's what part of being a leader, becoming a head coach, is hiring some of the greatest people around you that can do the job, so you don't have all the things on your shoulders, right? So you don't have to micromanage everybody. So yeah, I think no doubt about it, man. Spags was happy here. And I think money's not everything. It's not. It's not. He's got Super Bowl rings. And some okay, like, hey man, I'm fine in the lane that I'm in. I'm in my lane, right? So if I could go down in history as one of the best defensive coordinators of all time, he's fine with that. Why not? So he's in that conversation, Marcus. So he's already in that conversation, right? And maybe some guys are not comfortable with that or satisfied. I think Spags is. I think because of the type of man he is, I think he's okay with that. Right? I don't think you had to go and conquer the Himalayas, and to be that guy, right? You always had to be the man. He's the man as the DC, right? So I'll say that.
I will say, I mean, obviously you know better than I do, but NFL, you have players and you have coaches, all probably of the most competitive guys in the world. I mean, that's what it is. All professional leagues, NBA, NFL. I mean, I hope so at least, because guys are getting paid the big bucks to be professionals and compete for championships.
Sure.
So all competitive guys. Spags, yes, he's kind of reinvented himself coming to Kansas City and winning 2 more rings. Doing what he did in New York, but in Kansas City. Now he's got 4 rings and best defense coordinator and arguably amongst them all time, which is amazing. But this is a guy who, as a coach, and you can go 2 ways with this. He saw the other side being a head coach, the headaches behind that, and it was miserable. He doesn't ever want to do it again. But also the other side of that, being a competitive guy, which I'm assuming he is. Your record as a head coach in with the Rams was 10-38. That's something like, I want to try it again with more years under my belt. I want to try it again and actually do better this time and have a winning season. I think his best season was 7-9. So I mean, there could be elements of that, right? I mean,
yeah, sure.
I don't know.
No, look, I don't disagree with that at all. I just think his disposition of where he's at right now, and he's fine where he is.
Oh yeah.
And so, look, sometimes guys may realize, like, look, maybe I wasn't the best head coach. Maybe I went in the right situation. If the right situation comes up, who's to say? He might be like, yo, you know what? Maybe I will. But I'm sure it has to be the right situation to entice him to go that route. I just, at this moment, he's good where he is. And he's got time. He's got time. This man can change his mind anytime he wants to. And he is competitive, no doubt about it. I think, when you're a coordinator, you can control that aspect of the game. Me being a coordinator, I understand I could control that aspect of the game. Being an offensive coordinator, I understood I could control that aspect of the game. It's my offense or it's my special teams. And, if you're a D coordinator, it's my defense. And so a head coach is like, it's my team. But I got 3 aspects that I got guys controlling that, right? But everybody falls under my umbrella. So he can regulate those things to the right people. So it could come later. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. But I'm sure it has to be the right fit. Spags ain't going to go somewhere where, you got to rebuild. Shoot. Who wants to do that? I think on me, a young guy might come in like, hey, I can get it done. And shoot, some guys can do that. Some guys have that confidence and they go, they go-getter mentality to say, I'm the guy to change everything around. So I'm like, hey, man, I haven't been there before. I didn't see what it's like. So.
Yeah, that's why it's 2 sides to it. Yes, he's done it before, and he knows how being a head coach in a really bad situation can be. And then the other aspect, he's like, you know what? I'm a DC, and I know this is my defense. Andy, yes, he's the head coach, but we all know he's cooking up plays in the offensive play in the offensive room with the quarterbacks. He's not dealing with the defensive guys. That's all Spags and Joe Cullen.
Absolutely.
So Andy's saying, you can do what you want on that side of the ball. I'm going to go handle the offense and Pat. I'm going to go be with Nagy, and that's pretty much it. So it's a luxury for Spags. And he's the highest paid defensive coordinator on top of that. But this past offseason was interesting because Ben Johnson, the OC, the young buck from Detroit, everyone wanted the big guy everybody wanted.
Yeah.
His press conference a couple of weeks ago at OTAs, he said that he's going to wait till a proper job comes available. He said because most of these jobs that I was getting offered this year, he goes, in 3 years, they're going to have a new head coach. So that's why I said no to it.
He didn't lie. He did not lie. That's the truth. Some organizations are on flames right now, and it's hard to come out of it. And it's going to take luck. It's going to take a good draft class, time after time. It's going to take a lot of different things. There's a lot of different elements to the game to get an organization back up to where they need to be. But it's the right fit. It's the right coach. It's the right people around you. That's what it takes. So, we can name those teams. We can name those teams, and someone, was kind of in shambles. DeMarco Ryan comes in to Houston, changes it around. Okay. And so you start seeing maybe some sparks here and there, getting the right guys. Shoot, Carolina's going to be on the outs for a minute.
And that's probably one of the jobs he was talking about, because they were really heavily interested in him.
I'm sure. So
yeah,
we'll have to see. Arizona's another one, I think.
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of tough jobs in the NFL right now.
Some tough jobs.
But if you really want to crack that and get in there to be a head coach, I mean, some of these guys, like the guy who took over the Carolina job, he wanted to be a head coach. He was like, you know what, I'll take Carolina, see what I can do with Bryce Young.
Come on in. Come on in. We need you. Shoot, Atlanta too. Atlanta's. Oh, you could just name them back, man. So.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.